Okay, what do you call Brad Pitt hanging out with the crew for this film? Pit crew. Eh? Okay, so let me be upfront. I know next to nothing about F1, Formula One. My dad is a massive Formula One nerd, so I grew up with it in my house, but I just never really got into it. Like I appreciate it from afar. Like I appreciate that it's a whole nother world. The money that goes into it as well. It is just insane. It's like a rich man's game. It's fucking amazing to watch. And then when I saw the trailer for F1, I got very intrigued because of one name and one name alone. Well, actually two. Brad Pitt. Well, actually three. Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, but Joseph Kosinski. So I'm a massive fan of Top Gun Maverick. I think it actually is better than the original Top Gun. And when I saw the film, this is before I started this channel, so I didn't do a review for it, but it was my film of the year. I still love watching it to this day. It just hits just as hard as the day I first watched it in gold class. It was just such an immersive, amazing experience. So when I saw that this was happening and he was the director and the co-writer along with Aaron Kruger, I was very intrigued. We also got Jerry Bruckheimer producing this. And the interesting thing is this was made by Apple TV and distributed by Warner Brothers. So Chloe and I had the premiere here last night in Sydney. That was hosted by Warner Brothers, and I thought I'd break out the good old Gary turtleneck for it. But is it going to be one of those things where this film is going to have a quick rush to streaming? Most notably Apple TV. It's a very strange one as opposed to Top Gun Maverick that had such a good cinematic run and a damn good box office. So going into this film, I just wanted to be wowed and enthralled in the world of F1, a world that I know next to nothing about. It's, you know, people racing very, very fast, expensive cars and drinking very expensive champagne. And holy shit, a damn good time and a half. Now, the main discourse for this film has been that the story, the plot is next to nothing. And yeah, it pretty much is. It's the classic underdog story. It's the butting of heads, but also teammates coming together, putting aside their differences and overcoming certain challenges. You know, it's the typical underdog sport movie. And I don't think it really needed a complicated story. The basic plot is we have Brad Pitt playing Sonny, a washed up driver who's approached by an old friend of his, an old racing friend, Ruben, played by Javier Bardem, who wants him to drive on his team for F1. So this is a made-up team called Apex. You know, they're racing up against Ferrari, Lamborghini, and stuff like that. I know those names. And it's just seeing Brad Pitt rise up to become a champion, but he's also butting heads with a young and upcoming driver on the Apex team, Joshua, played by Damson Idris. So it's that notion of trying to put an old head on young shoulders. There's a lot of old man jokes, but then they learn to work together with their pit crew, the rest of the crew, the camaraderie, and then eventually rise up and take on the challenge of winning F1. And that's pretty much it. And I'm okay with that. I don't need a complicated story. It's essentially like Cool Runnings, but F1. And the more I think about it, there were a lot of parallels to Cool Runnings. There's something that happens towards the third act that can throw a bit of a spanner in the works, pun intended. And yes, Brad Pitt's character is very stereotypical, you know, lives in a trailer, problem gambler, had a bit of a history with racing, bit of a bad boy, bit of a wild child. And this is essentially him trying to redeem himself. Now, I think the biggest draw card for this film, like Top Gun Maverick, will be the action sequences. And it's not F-18s anymore, it's F1 cars. $150 million F1 cars. And once again, Joseph Kosinski, the cast, the crew, they immerse you in these action set pieces. And I say action set pieces where it's just racing, but there is action. There is chest rattling sound design. Hans Zimmer's score, he's done an absolute banger once again with a little couple of hints to the Dark Knight trilogy. There were instances where I'm listening to his score in the film. I'm like, this reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises. Like at the end, I'm getting goosebumps. Now, from doing my homework, I believe this was originally supposed to have Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise going up against each other. Like years and years ago, it was pitched as that, and now we have F1. But going back to the race sequences, they're visceral, they're immersive. Again, you feel the rattle in your chest. I love that there's a lot of POV shots. I love that they're not only a POV shots, but there's reverse shots of the actors and their faces are smushed, and you almost get a bit claustrophobic, as I can only imagine how claustrophobic being in those cars, helmet, safety gear, everything can be, and you have to focus. Again, this is a whole nother world. The science that goes into F1, it's like the science that goes into boxing, stuff you don't think about. Among the racing sequences and just how heart-stopping they can be, and I know that's probably a very over-the-top, overused expression, but But it's one of those things where you're watching these racing scenes and you're holding your breath because they're so well edited with the sound design, the visuals. You are waiting for something to happen, a little rock, a little pebble that's going to flip this car, and everything's just going to turn tits up. And yeah, it's pretty much like... The chemistry between Sonny and Josh, I loved. Again, it's the underdog story. It's old blood, it's new blood, but it seemingly works. I would love to have seen how this film would have panned out if it had taken place in the 90s. Because our character of Josh, he's an up-and-coming, he's the hothead, he's the hot young heartthrob, and he has a social media manager, and you see the social media manager being like, we've got to get, get likes, we've got to get integration, we've got to do all this stuff. I'm like, oh God, it's a social media thing. I would love to see how this film would have panned out, or played out for that matter, in the 80s or the 90s. I think the tone would have been completely different. Runtime wise, it's a bit of a stretch. There were instances with certain scenes where I'm like, you could have shaved a bit off here and there, taken 20 minutes off the runtime. Like it's about 2.5 hours plus change. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just felt that there were moments where scenes just dragged on a little too much. I'm like, we can wrap this up and move on to the next chapter. And yes, this is a dad movie and a half. I definitely am keen to show my dad this. I think my other biggest gripe, and this is just a me thing, it wasn't in IMAX. We had, I think it was VMAX last night, whatever's at the entertainment quarter over. It's the one up from VMAX, and the next one is IMAX. I definitely would love to check this out in IMAX. So once again, F1 is a sport I know next to nothing about, guys, but I saw the trailer for this, I saw who the director was, and I wanted in. And I was damn entertained. Yes, the story is bare basic, but to me, that's a trade-off for amazing visuals and racing sequences that make you hold your breath. Damn solid performances all around, and another banger of a score from the Zim Man. Brilliant sound design, it's cheesy, it's the underdog story, and it gave me the feel-goods in the end, and that's all I wanted. And to all you diehard F1 fans, I hope this film puts a smile on your dial and does the sport justice, and I am definitely keen to watch it again with my dad. Again, it's a whole nother world, man. It's fascinating to see, and I can only assume because, Joseph Kosinski is a man of quality and a details man. I hope that the details were all there for all you hardcore F1 fans. And with that, I'm going to be giving F1 4 Heineken 0.0s out of 5. Product placement at its finest. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.